Welcome to the first video in our series of videos introducing the topic of chemistry, which is the scientific study of matter. For those of you that haven't heard the scientific definition of matter before, matter is simply anything that exists that has measurable mass and that takes up 3D space within our known universe. Now, this definition is not especially helpful because it includes basically every known physical substance that exists. Now, what we're interested in this video is breaking down matter into a bunch of clearly defined and easy to visualize categories. The first two of which are what we call the pure substances, which are types of matter that are only made of a single substance. So water, for example, is a pure substance because it's only made of H2O, water. Oxygen gas is another pure substance. Gold is another pure substance. To contrast this, the other type of matter are what we call mixtures, and if a pure substance is made of only one type of matter, mixtures are made of more than one or multiple types of matter. Now, from here, we can take pure substances and mixtures and break them down further so that our categories get more specific. So let's look at the different types of pure substances that we can have, the first of which are what we call the elements. Now, the elements are the most fundamental or the most foundational units of matter because these are pure substances that cannot be broken down into smaller substances, which is why these are the fundamental units of chemistry. So if we take a look at a few examples of elements, we see that gold, the chemical symbol for which is Au, is an example of a pure substance because if you break down gold, all that you get are smaller examples of gold. These nails we can see are made of iron, the chemical symbol for which is Fe, and again, we can't break these down into types of matter that are fundamentally smaller than this, and in the case of the diamond and this form, which is what we call graphite, we know that these are both examples of carbon, chemical symbol C. So all three of these are examples of elements because we cannot break them down into something smaller or fundamental. Now, if we take more than one element and combine them together, we get what we call compounds, which, as mentioned before, are pure substances that are simply made of more than one element. So we can see in this glass here, which we assume to be pure water because we can't see anything else, we see the chemical formula H2O because even though there is nothing else in this glass but water, H2O is made of more than one element, 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. So water is easily the most common example of a compound that exists on Earth. Now, if we deviate from pure substances and if we look specifically at mixtures, we can see that mixtures break down into two big categories as well. So here, it looks like we're taking some white solid and pouring it into water, and if we stir up this water or just wait for long enough, the white solid, whether it be salt or sugar, is going to disappear. When we do this, when we take a solid or another liquid and pour it into a liquid, and when we see one of these compounds disappear into the other, we have just made a solution. Now, a solution is a situation where we have a mixture where one of the substances is said to dissolve. Let's write that properly. Dissolve into the other one. So in this case, if we say that this is salt, the chemical formula for salt is NaCl, sodium chloride, and we know the chemical formula for water is H2O. So we have two compounds here, but because the salt dissolves when we put it into water, this is not a pure substance. We no longer have pure water because the salt is dissolving within the liquid. However, not every example of a solid dissolves within every liquid. So if we take this example here, which is just simply sand and water, this is what we call a mechanical mixture. We can't call it a solution because the sand doesn't disappear once it is put into water. So a mechanical mixture is an example of a mixture where we have two different substances. We know the chemical formula for water is H2O, and if you don't know the chemical formula for sand, it's actually silicon dioxide, and we can see that the two substances here do not mix, and therefore they produce a mechanical mixture rather than a solution. So this concludes our introduction to the different types of matter. In the next video, we're going to look at properties of matter and describing properties of matter as either being physical or chemical properties.